by hand? Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Hello, good morning, everyone. How's everyone feeling? Good? Let's do a very quick show of hands. How many of you had a very good weekend? Oh, great. Excited to be here. How many of you are really excited to be here and wanted to end that weekend and be here sooner than later? Well, I have to say, I would like to start by saying that Veterans Day is what we all enjoyed, the freedoms that we enjoyed. I'd like to say a big thank you to our veterans who really gave us the freedom, because the choices that we get to make today, to show up to a conference, to end our weekend, have a good vacation or not, many other people across the world are having to make different kinds of choices and decisions, right? So the freedoms that we enjoy today, not everybody has that. How many of you know someone who has felt emotionally challenged, financially challenged, mentally challenged? Me too. The choices and decisions that one has to make is different depending on the different context, different situations we are all in, right? And it is from this context I want to introduce and talk a little bit about wellness today. My name is Ramya Grama. I am an ex-corporate digital transformation and sustainability leader who's now stepped into the role in the nonprofit world, and also starting up my own consultancy services to help businesses transform in a meaningful manner so that we continue to measure outcomes based on human experiences. Today, what I want to talk to you about is wellness. If you can go to the, oh, sorry, I should be doing this. See, I got, okay. So when we talk about wellness, the point I'd like to share with all of you is when we see wellness programs today, whether it is at the corporate level or at the products and services that we see out in the market, the focus is so much on health, nutrition. We can go to wellness centers where there are spas and such, right? I feel that it is not completely holistic. It's just one aspect of life. We need to redefine what wellness really means. And wellness, it's not only for the elite or the people who can only afford it. Everybody deserves to be feeling well. And so how do we make this equitable and accessible to all, especially the vulnerable people who truly need it? And they're the ones who need it the most. And how can technology augment that human experience, the innate desire for us to be our best selves? How can we be experience-led by technology rather than being technology-led, right? And can we be outcome-centered when we talk about wellness programs, be it in the corporate wellness programs? Can we look at it holistically and really check in on each other and say, well, not just the yoga class that I showed up on. Did I show up on the yoga class, or did I have just the mindfulness app? That's just one sliver of it, right? But overall, how am I feeling? Can we kind of get a little bit more deeper into that from a wellness perspective? So with this context, I'd like to share a little bit of our work here. Swadhriti is the name of the nonprofit I founded. It is quite a bit of a tongue twister, I'm sure, but what it really means is, it's a Sanskrit word. It means to be self-reliant. If each of us, as human beings, and even animals, can be self-reliant and find the power within, can we be in a better place, right? Can we get a hold of our vulnerabilities and get each of us to a better place in our communities. So the work that we've been doing is empowering the vulnerable to thrive with wellness. What does that really mean, right? And how can we make that vision a reality? So this is our guiding vision. And what we've been doing is really starting from trying to understand what wellness is and what does vulnerable really mean? What does thriving really mean? Let's start from there, right? So the Global Wellness Institute defines wellness as an active pursuit. It's an active engagement, right? It's not just one state of being, but continuously evolving, and health as in a holistic way. I don't want to go into every specific detail, but a few key words in here is vulnerability means when a group of people or one person is feeling attacked or feel a threat of harm, right? How do we help people overcome that? And that attack or that threat can be in different ways, and it could come in different flavors. How do we help people, planet, animals, and plants to coexist together and really thrive? That's what thrive really means, right? I love the word thrive. We're just not surviving, but we've got to get to that thrive. So touching a little bit about the wellness market itself. The opportunity from a numbers perspective, right? It's a huge market. It's growing. It's grown. It's projected to grow at 8.6% CAGR, which is amazing. And the market is going to hit up to 8.5 trillion by 2027. It's not something small, right? Yet, in here, if you see, the biggest ones are personal care, beauty, yes, healthy eating, nutrition, we need all that. But there's so many aspects of wellness that is not even addressed in here, right? Corporate wellness is that small, teeny, tiny bubble there. We all can do so much more. The power of, is that a, no, I might be over time. But anyway, so I want to skip a few slides and take us a little bit more on a faster track because of time. Touching a little bit about the vulnerable population. We are all familiar with Maslow's hierarchy. Basic needs need to be met, and that's when later on you get to self-actualization, getting to a better self. I question this hierarchy because in the way it is being represented as being sequential, one has to happen first and then the next and then the next only. The world we live in today and the dynamic nature of things that we live in today, I feel the sequential linear approach, step by step, climbing up, is not serving well, especially for the vulnerable people. Can we take a different approach? Because if we did not, the divides are deeper. The inequalities are deeper. And it's much more slower for the person who actually needs to feel better faster, right? We talk about social determinants of health. People in healthcare, we talk about this a lot. I say that these are determinants of basic existence for vulnerable people. What are we doing to provide different solutions for them, right? So when we look at wellness, this is quite a popular framework out there. Wellness, a holistic approach. There are multiple dimensions to it, from emotional to physical to intellectual to educational, professional, and environmental. I put environmental at the center of it because our innate connection to nature needs to be realized, recognized, and activated in the decisions that we make. It is also a very complex world, right? From an individual to a family, to a community, to a nation, to the entire world, the scale is huge. Because what we do here, what I do here, has an impact for someone in some corner of the world. We know we're all connected, right? We got to solve it at scale, but also recognize that it is interdependent and it's dynamic and it's contextual, that we don't even understand the context of each other as much. This is where the question of, can technology help us? Can we have intelligence and data to help understand each other first so we can actually take action. This is a snippet of, it's all about decisions and choices, right? And when you look at just the physical health aspect of wellness, and this is a very, very high-level view, right? A thin scraping. From when a person is born up until age, there are so many decisions that one has to make. There are so many data points. And this, if you look at this is, again, at a high level, across multiple dimensions and different genders, right? We haven't even considered different races or cultures into perspective. So this data model, as you see, can grow quite a bit. So what I want to share is, if we don't do this right, like what is the current risk that we have, right? With the solutions and products and programs that we see out there in the market, they are point fragmented solutions. I can go check in on a Headspace app, get a mindfulness meditation, check the box, or yes, I did my wellness practice for today. Is that good enough, right? What about the other aspects of it? That is leading to the products that we have today in the market lead to overconsumption and very, very profit-driven. We are very consumer-centric. I do not like the usage of the word consumer, because consumer means consumption. Are we consumers or value creators? Are we customers? Yeah. Users? Yeah. Consumers? Don't know. We've got to think about that. And today, we're missing the context quite a bit, which is causing irrelevance and distrust and sour experiences, right? And the last one, I'll say, loose leash or leashless AI. We have, in the world of Gen AI, we've been doing some work in there. We see the absolute need for ethics and governance and controls in there, because we got to do that now rather than later. Because without that, we're going to end up with regretful consequences, and we don't want to get there. We want to be responsible about that. So happy to talk more. This is very much at a high level. Happy to talk more about some of the risks and challenges that we have observed in our work on field, in our use cases. But I want to come back and say that the need specifically is for equitable social integration. What I really mean by that is, when we're looking at wellness for human beings in a society and in a community, we shouldn't be treating the group of that population as a separate unit. Inclusion, that's where we should be starting first, and that's got to be integrated into the system itself. And technology can be used to do that, right? Ethics and governance, as I shared, understanding of the context. A lot of the work that we've been doing today on field is we use generative AI. We are trying to understand at a very atomic level, a group of people across this table. I can truly understand your health conditions. I can understand your preferences for certain communication choices, how you would work in a team versus individually. Like in the corporate world, we have the Myers-Briggs assessments and things like that, but that only touches the top. It does not go deep enough. The work that we've been doing is beginning to consider curating our domain-specific LLM models so that we can understand the needs of the individual person and the context that they live in. That's important to do that. I'm going to skip a little bit in the sense of time. So the call to action here is in the 4 dimensions that we're talking about. At a business perspective, as an individual person, technology and AI, society and government. Those are the 4 dimensions I'd like to present here. And at a business level, can we, as business leaders, promote sufficiency rather than consumption? Can we do that? How would our business models look different if we took that lens, right? Can we be very intentional about transparency? What does that mean? Transparency could be, what are we learning from the data that we have, right? Can we share that? Can we partner across the ecosystem, right? We all know this word, data is your IP, technology is your IP, right? I've said that many times in many presentations myself. The problem, the aspect of that, the challenge with that aspect is when you don't share the data or the intelligence in a safe, secure manner that meets all the privacy needs, what happens is that you're creating fragmented silos. It's not a symbiotic ecosystem at all. And for wellness to be truly true for an individual or a community, there's got to be this healthy interoperability and healthy exchange of data along with the governance and the privacy rules and everything. So that true partnership is what we truly need in the ecosystem for wellness. At an individual level, I would say it's an individual pursuit. Wellness is an individual, it comes from within. Each of us can do several things before we even step out for help. There are several things that we can do. Do we know what we can do? We don't. We may not. So how can we help the individual person to be self-reliant? That's the work that we've been doing, but I think there is so much more yet to be done. And if we can be resourceful with technology and check the consumption of it at an individual level, right? I just last week went through a digital detox. It was hard as hell. Oh my God, I felt like I was so disconnected, and I got the fear of missing out and having to get caught up. Even a simple thing as that, I found it hard. But can we put a self-check on that and figure out that right balance? From a technology perspective, as I shared, we're working leveraging AI. We're also looking at digital technology, simple things, right, at a community level that will help us know the health and wellness of a group of people at a local panchayat level. Panchayat is like the work that we do is a couple of villages in India. We work with the local villages to help these communities get better from education and health perspective, and try to learn from that to help them stand up sustainable circular communities. What that does mean. So we've been working with our panchayat leaders there. So understanding the context, understanding their specific challenges, what might be true there is not true here, or it may not be true in places like Africa, because what we are trying to do is create this model, test it in India as a sandbox, but build it much more generically in terms of being adaptable for different contexts. Augmenting human experience and interoperability, that's the biggest challenge right now. In healthcare, we're talking a lot about interoperability, right? I come from a healthcare background. I also come from an aerospace background, so diverse industries looking at it, it's different. From a society and government support perspective, there's huge room for policies and governance. I think between US and India, when I compare that and learning from both places, I think there is huge strides that India as a country has made. And now there's a lot of work with health, digital health and data around that space. I think here in US, there is still so much good work that has been happening in terms of data privacy and governance controls, but we've got to see more there. How do we use circular waste and resource management? Can we help provide some guidelines for developing nations? What can they learn from? Is there a playbook that we can actually help them get started with? That is something that we are still exploring a little bit more because of the contextual differences. So these are the 4 aspects that we have been working on. And our work has been more on, our strategy is pinned around education, health, and environment to touch upon those dimensions of wellness. This is based off of that framework. And what we do is, on the platform and service side, we currently work with experts in the field of health, nutrition, financial planning, education. We have a curated network of experts. We provide that education and awareness and workshops, hands-on workshops for the groups of people, as I shared in India right now. So we're learning a lot in terms of what works, what doesn't work, and building a playbook there. On the other side, we're using technology, data, and AI, again, very much in the initial nascent phase right now. What we're truly doing is curating the data. We're using open AI frameworks, but we do realize that there's a need to fine-tune towards specific, domain-specific large language models and such. So there is work that needs to happen much more deeply there. So that's what we've been doing. And these are the people, coming back to why we do all this. These are the people, and these are the initiatives that we've been doing. We want to help local schools. We've been working with 200 local girls and boys get STEM education, and we're starting with teaching them how to communicate confidently. Like, literally, it's one thing to have an idea. Kids are amazing, they can go create stuff, but I want them up on stage, come and talking about their idea too. So we've been doing work with that. This is one of my favorite projects, the COTS for Kids. You know why it's my favorite project? Because these are 6 to 8-year-old kids who don't even have a cot to sleep on in the daycare. They sleep on the hard floor. It's unhygienic, uncomfortable. They don't even get a comfortable place to sleep. And we realized that mental health, there's a lot of work that's happening in mental health. And Chris, you and I talked about sleep, right? Simple, basic, back to basic things. And if we can help make a change for children in the early ages of their development, then I think we've set them up on the right path. So we've been building and raising funds to provide cots for kids. And we also work with women, drive awareness in terms of holistic health practices, talk about taboo subjects like breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer. How do you take care of personal hygiene? How can girls be helped with basic personal hygiene, provide them sanitary napkins? Those are some of the things that we've been doing on those initiatives. And truly working with nature in terms of taking care of cows and nature and creating a circular economy, providing those local farmers a digital platform where they can actually bring in these products, biodegradable products, that they can actually put on the platform, create an economy, and that helps drive that circularity. So that's the work we've been doing. We're learning a lot, very much. It's been over a year now since we've done this, still very much in the initial phase. But we're testing our ideas in all dimensions, from scale to contextual complexity to barriers of technology adoption. A lot of things that are true here are not true there. Basic internet connection, like the digital centers. We went up and about to kind of pull a line for a fiber line to get a connection for the entire village. There are no libraries there, so we're starting up micro libraries. So a lot of back to basic things are essential, but we're hoping that this will be the start for an all-round wellness conversation, and we learn enough to then hopefully be able to do this in other places too. So, want to learn more, that's the website, and happy to answer any more questions, happy to connect with you all. Thank you very much.